TV's Charlie Chaplin's granddaughter, Carmen Chaplin. Thank you so much for your time. And we have a lot of information, changed the generations and times, but Charlie Chaplin is a unforgettable figure for us on the screen. And sometimes we have a sensation, we know a lot of things about him, but this new documentary you present on San Sebastian Films Festival, there is a very curious case about his Roman heritage.
Well, it's something that he was very proud of and that he mentioned quite often, but it never really...
I have a gypsy soul.
Yes, a gypsy soul, but it's something that never stuck with people. And it was something I wanted to explore with my father, because he's always been very in love with Romani culture, with the music, and he had quite a difficult relationship with his father, and it was a point where they could meet on screen and kind of revisit his work, and also for my father a way to reconnect with his father.
So I remember. I would like to ask you about Jekyll's letter. I think the story is starting there when Michael G. Chaplin discovered about this heritage, right?
Yes, that was really a spark for my father to explore that side of his heritage, because this letter was something that Charlie kept in his bedside table, and it was locked up, and it was discovered years after he died. For my father, it was like it had a meaning, and it had a meaning for Charlie, and he really wanted to know more about it.
So in this documentary, we see Geraldine Chaplin, Michael, and all familiars of Big Chaplin. So how was this first impression of the family when they discovered this secret part, I can say? Or curious part?
Yeah, he had a lot of children with my grandmother, and they're all very different in what it meant to them. Like for Geraldine, I think she was like, oh, maybe, but I'm not sure. My uncle Christopher, he was very much into it, and he's a musician, so he knew all the musical cues in his films and how they were related to gypsy music. And Victoria, she really has that heritage of the musical, like Charlie's mother. And so every child had a different meaning for them and a different perspective.
Your familiar memory about Charlie Chaplin, because I think it's very particular sensation to be a granddaughter of Charlie Chaplin.
Well, Your
first memory about him. What do you remember?
My memories are of watching movies, home movies. So some of the home movies that are in the film, when I was very little, we'd go to my grandparents' house, and when we'd stay there, we'd watch these home movies. And for me at the time, it was being a small child, and seeing my father as a small child was fascinating. So I have a strong memory of watching those movies and having these very grand Christmases where a Father Christmas would come, and the Christmas tree would be really high in the hallway, and Easters, and so it's like family holidays, I remember.
And as a tradition to be an actress, when you decided to be an actress, it was like inspiration from your childhood memory, no?
Well, I've always really loved telling stories, and when I was younger, I couldn't imagine being a film director because of Charlie. I thought it was too intimidating. So I started acting, and I really loved it, and I still love acting. But afterwards, I also wanted to write, and I realized I really loved writing stories. And then the next step was to direct. So for me, it was a a slow process to get here.
Acting to directing and
To
after
write,
script
yeah.
because he did everything, no, for his movies, no, music,
Yes.
script,
Yeah.
acting.
I wish I could play an instrument, but I can't.
So, and this is a world premiere on the festival. I think this curious case of Charlie Chaplin, we can transform this metaphorically. For our public, maybe you can say more before the public see this movie. What was interesting details what you discovered during the process when you was doing this movie, doing the interviews with your familiars and Charlie's children's, and a part of this Romani heritage. What was more interesting detail what you did not knew before?
There's nothing sensational that I discovered, but what was very interesting was to go deeper into the relationships of Charlie with his children, Charlie with my father, and to know about what it was like to grow up with such a figure that was so, that took up a lot of light because he was so famous. To grow up as a child of somebody like that, how complicated it was, and also how that lineage is it's also a beautiful lineage, but I think everybody should go into their family heritage because you learn about yourself, and often it's questions.
Analyze the story.
Yeah, and it's often things that you wonder about when your parents pass away, like you haven't asked all those questions. So I got the chance to ask my father all the questions that I could think about his childhood.
Thank you so much, Carmen. Thank you.
Thank you.